Well, hi, and welcome to another LRCC Soundbite. I wonder what gets you going. What gets on your goat? What ideals do you have? What do you stand for? What is there that you would argue for? Well, last week I talked a little bit about a guy called Matthew, the hated tax collector. And I guess one of the people who might have had the biggest of problems with Matthew might have been another of Jesus' disciples, a man called Simon. Now, if you've watched a few of these recent soundbites, you'll know I mentioned a Simon who Jesus nicknamed Peter, the Rock. This is a different Simon. This Simon was a member of a group, an organisation called the Zealots before he started following Jesus. Now, some would say that the Zealots were freedom fighters. Others would say they were terrorists. They were driven by a very strong ideology and belief in the ancient ways of Israel and that the Romans should be overthrown violently. So Simon, maybe he's a bit of an odd one for Jesus to choose to be one of his closest friends, especially as Jesus was going to continue to condemn violence. There's a story about a time just before Easter when soldiers came to arrest Jesus, and one of the other disciples, not Simon, would try to protect Jesus and ended up with his sword cutting off the ear of the servant of the high priest who was there with them. Jesus' response was to tell them to stop fighting. And more than that, he miraculously healed that ear of that servant, put it back on, good as new, before allowing himself to be taken away. I've talked about Jesus taking ordinary people along with him. The fisherman. I talked about Jesus taking an educated but hated tax collector with him, Matthew. This week, Jesus takes someone extreme in his views about the political situation in Israel. Again and again, Jesus demonstrates through his actions that it's not only the ordinary people, it's not only the liked people, it's not only the mild-mannered people with no opinions of their own that are important. Everyone is important to Jesus. I can only imagine the debates that took place between some of these disciples. And yet, each one of them was trained by Jesus. They learned from him. They became different. They were changed. You know, we don't actually read about Simon taking up violence ever again against other people. So, rather than come back to the question that I opened with and ask you what ideals you hold, I'm going to finish today by saying that actually, even those things that are personal, inside, deep down, driving you, they don't matter when it comes to finding out more about Jesus. Part of getting to know Jesus, just like getting to know any friend deeply, involves examining those things and sharing those things with your friend. But nothing disqualifies you from having that conversation, from explaining your position, from trying to understand someone else's position. I realise this could be a deeply personal area. You might have questions. Feel free to drop me a line. It will be in complete confidence. Just know this. Jesus loves every one of us, whoever we are, whatever we do, and whatever we think. God bless you. See you next week.